A new report by the Institute for Policy Studies shows that CEOs decided to give themselves a little bit of a pay boost during the 2020 pandemic, while their employees typically got laid off or actually got pay cuts. This study is so important because it shows you that CEOs are willing to literally change the very metrics on which their job performance is being tracked in order to cheat and pay themselves bonuses even though they didn't meet the very standards that they had set up for themselves and for the company. So the report found that 51 of the nation's 100 biggest low-wage employers, meaning that they're known for paying their employees low wages, including Tyson Foods, Coca-Cola, Chipotle, and Yum Brands, used numerous tactics to boost executive pay in 2020 while offering their workers few safeguards against the pandemic and resulting economic meltdown. So the manipulations that they engaged in included lowering performance bars to help executives meet bonus targets, awarding special retention bonuses, excluding poor second quarter results from evaluations, and replacing performance-based pay with time-based pay, or time-based awards, I should say. Companies enlisted an army of independent compensation consultants in an effort to give all this rule rigging a veneer of legitimacy. So the question is, just how much of a raise did these CEOs give themselves? Well, it's pretty significant. The board of Chipotle inflated CEO Brian Niccol's total compensation to $38 million in 2020 by tossing out the company's poor financial results from the peak shutdown period and excluding COVID-related costs, a bit of financial magic that artificially boosted Chipotle's operating income and helped give him a 136% raise.
Okay, so let's be fair here, okay?
Should we?
Said the guy who's the CEO of this company. All right, so later they talk about limiting CEOs to 50 to 1, Bernie Sanders has this plan, or 500 to 1 of their median worker. And it's not, you don't have to do it, you just would pay higher taxes if you don't, right? I'm like 50 to 1, that sounds amazing.
I know.
No, anyone nowhere near it. Okay, so look guys, here's the situation. So could it be that in a crisis like COVID, you would need to adjust some things to be fair to people? Sure, that's certainly possible, right? Hey, look, we were hoping to hit these metrics, but because of COVID, we can't, so instead we're gonna do this, right? But if you do that, you wanna be fair to everyone down the road.
Exactly.
But I've met some other executives in my life, not all of them, but some of them, that don't view it that way. They view it binary. Like you either are an executive and hence someone they can relate to and have compassion for and go, I mean, how are you gonna put your kids through private school and stuff? And that's good, okay, nothing wrong with that, that's positive. But when it comes to the other workers, less compassion and less empathy, right? And so that's the issue here, the dichotomy. And it's also certainly possible that if you worked at Disney and the theme parks are shut down, yeah, there's nothing they could do about that, I get it, right? And so sometimes the employees and management can't have the same exact rules applied to them because it depends on the circumstances. But in this case, when you bend every rule to make sure the CEO gets paid $38 million when you didn't do great, right? I say this every time in these stories. They do amazing performance like the Netflix CEOs. We talked about it in another CEO in another story. Well, they did amazing, and their average pay at Netflix is over $200,000. Have at it, Hoss, pay him, right?
Yeah.
But when you're not doing well, and then you're like, well, I was only gonna pay you if you did well, but now I'm gonna cheat and pay you anyway, but I'm not gonna pay the employees. Nah, that's unfair.
No, but the thing that stands out to me, Cenk, and I agree with your assessment. I think you're absolutely right. But what stands out to me is that, it seems as though it didn't even matter whether or not the company was negatively hit by the pandemic, financially speaking, right? So you're either making the money or you're not. And even in cases where the company suffered as a result of the pandemic, the CEOs are like, yeah, let's just throw out those metrics because it's not fair. The pandemic happened, so I'm still gonna give myself a raise. Like there's no tightening of the belt, right? And again, I'm gonna bring up like this whole idea of like, the market decides. And everything in capitalism is totally rational. These executives, they're making rational decisions. They're not gonna do something that's gonna hurt their company, right? Right? But obviously in this case, even companies that suffered financially as a result of the pandemic still had CEOs who were willing to give themselves these insane raises. At the companies that altered their rules to reward top executives amid the deadly pandemic, CEO pay averaged $15.3 million in 2020, up 29% from 2019. By contrast, the report found that median worker pay at those companies actually fell by 2% to an average of $28,187.
That's amazing, guys. The median worker pay, that means half the folks at those companies made less than $28,187. The average CEO is making $15 million at those same exact companies. And 2020 was a rough year. That makes sense, I get it. Okay, and employees' salaries fell by 2%. It happens. If nobody wants it, I hope nobody wants it. And if your company's doing well, that's not the situation you have. So almost literally nobody wants it, right? Fell by 22%. Okay, so fair enough. CEOs fell also by 2%, or since they make so much more money, they could take actually a bigger hit, right? Went up 29%. No, there's just, no. There could be a rare situation, it's certainly possible, where you've got, the CEO did really adjust really well and their profits did go up, but they're in the cruise line business and so it couldn't, etc. Could happen. But all of these companies, on average, no, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
And what's wrong is that the powerful set the rules on their own behalf, of course. And the thing that the entity that's supposed to look out for you when that naturally happens is the government. Because what is the government? The government is us. It's a collection of the citizens setting the rules of our society. But now the government's been captured by the corporations because we allowed unlimited financing, private financing of elections, where corporations can simply buy our politicians, and they did. So that's why you have the results that you do. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.